Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar today, being presented by BIZTOOls. And we're going to be talking about purchasing or commencing a business, how an accountant or a business advisor or a bookkeeper that's giving this sort of advice can convince a new client that's commencing or buying a business to look at a more in-depth range of services so that you're able to provide real help, chief financial officer type help to assist that client to survive in business. We all know the horrible statistics of what happens in the first 3 years in business. I think it's part of our role as accountants to do our utmost to help people survive, and surviving that interim period is very important. Amanda Gascoigne is going to be with us in spirit today. We've pre-recorded Amanda's comments because she's tied up in another event away from her office. Amanda's a very experienced chartered accountant who now runs consultancy services for small and solo accounting firms all over Australia and in New Zealand. So I'm sure you will find some interest in what Amanda's had to say. If you have any questions while we're presenting the webinar, can you please send me a message via chat and I'll answer your questions later on. And if you're watching this webinar later on at a time more convenient to you, can you send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. The whole basis of the ESS BizTools approach to this particular subject, how do you help a client purchase or commence a business, is embedded within the material which we've developed, which we've called client mentoring and coaching. My basic philosophy is that as accountants, we need to be able to show our clients or our prospective clients the sort of areas that we're going to be able to help them in. Just sending them some notes or a paper or even discussing it with them doesn't really register, I don't think. I think you need to have some communications with them. Now, I must admit, some people say to me, well, if we do that and we send details of what we're going to do, the clients will do the work themselves. I say, I don't think so. And in my experience, they don't. I must admit, I did have one or two over the years that said they were going to do it, but they soon gave up and come back to me and said, oh, you better look after that. Why? Because they're too busy. And they didn't go into business, or most of them didn't go into business to do accounting services. They went into business to buy goods and sell them, or develop ideas and create it and sell them. They want the attraction of the marketplace. They won't do the work, but they will rely on you to do it if you are able to convince them that you are able to offer a service. And I think this is a realistic approach, because after all, they're the ones that are going to be paying the bills to finance your firm being able to offer this service. So what we've developed within purchasing or commencing a business is a series of communications that you can send whenever you want to. My suggestion, weekly. But if you want to make it fortnightly or even a bit longer, you can do so. It's informing the client on various aspects of the role you can perform for them. And please follow up. And I'm going to mention that a little bit later on. You need to be communicating with the client, or someone in your team needs to be communicating with the client right through this process. Because we don't want your client sitting back with a couple of very good questions on their minds and them feeling that they can't contact you until they've finished this whole series. Talk to the client. There may be an immediate job for you to perform for them. And that's what this is all about. This is a marketing communication concept that really, at the very beginning of it all, my theme is to encourage your client to willingly want to pay more to your firm than what it would cost for the preparation of an income tax return and an annual set of accounts. I want to do some value adding. I want you to be able to get $5,000 to $10,000 more from the client because you've offered to them value adding services, which will help them run a better business. I hope that makes sense to you. So I think it's an opportunity for you to showcase the services that you can offer to your clients and to help them survive, especially during this first 3-year period in business. Now, even if someone's an experienced business operator, if they're buying another business, this can be a real troublesome area because they really don't know that other business, do they? Unless they've gone and worked in it for 12 months and had complete control and been able to view all the key performance indicator and the management data. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is business structures. Clients need to understand. Someone said to me, when people first come to her for advice, they want to be a sole trader. By the time they walk out the office, most of them have been convinced they should be a company. Why? Because they've been given information by an expert as to how their business should be structured. So you need to be able to communicate on structures, and we've definitely covered business structures in this material. I think you need to be honest on what the pitfalls are in starting a business. The long hours, the possibility that holidays won't be taken when they thought they could take them because an emergency's come up. Staff problems, people not available, people resign, people got other problems and they're not at work. Getting supplies. Obviously, in this last 18 months, there's been a lot of businesses having problems with getting supplies. All of these issues are pitfalls when it comes to a business. So what we're going to have is a letter of explanation to the client as to what these communications with them are all about. I think you should warn them even before they get the letter or email from you that you're going to be sending them some material. If you want to charge your client for this, you can do so. There's no extra fee payable to ESS BIZTOOls, but I really view it as a marketing tool, a tool which will clearly establish in the client's mind that you are an expert, that you can deliver value-adding services that could be $5,000 to $10,000 and even more in some cases than what they would have paid for the traditional annual accounts and tax returns, which if they'd been talking to a lot of other people, that's probably what they come to you to talk about. But you've then been able to start educating them in the real value-adding services that professional accountants can provide. The survey form is to get some feedback and to have the opportunity for the client to be able to tell you, look, I'm really interested in such and such, so that you can then contact the client, ask them to come in for another interview or go out and see the client if they're already in their business premises. And in fact, I think that's a very important comment that I just made. I don't think accountants visit their clients often enough. When I was in practice, I rarely saw a client in my office. In fact, when I retired from public practice as an accountant 22 years ago to take up consulting work and to write the ESS BIZTOOls material, Some of my clients who had been with me for 15 to 20 years made their first visit to the office. I like visiting people in their own premises. They're more relaxed, they're happier. Sure, there might be a few interruptions, but what you get out of it is you see their business in operation. Every time I went to a client's premises, I come back with more work because I was able to raise issues and look at them without the client worrying about their parking meter out the front or worried about something else, what was going on back at their workshop or their shop or their office or whatever. I think there's some very sound reasons to be talking to them in their own premises. And take one of your younger accountants with you. It's a great education, especially to go to a workshop environment and to hear the noise, see the dust, hear the communications going on, and realize that the person that you're trying to contact in that office to get some feedback on certain things at times can be under a lot of pressure. Just makes your team a bit more understanding of the people in the client's organization that they're working with. So we're going to go through and review the process to give you a better understanding of how everything operates. So if we can just bear with me, and I'll So I've now brought up on the website, the ESS BIZTOOLS website. The column here on the left-hand side is the list of the individual products within ESS BIZTOOLS. These are all included in what we call our gold or advanced package. And there's some other packages there. We've grouped them in various categories, but our gold subscribers get everything. And then we go through and look at it for various packages. And the package that we are promoting as part of this series of weekly webinars is our Business Advisory Services Starter Package. Everything that's in the starter package is included in our gold or advanced package. So I've just gone on to the starter package now, and this is the material that's included. There's training package, there's 12 seminars pre-prepared, ready for you to offer. There's access to 343 specially prepared papers. There's access to the Business Plus newsletter. We produce the newsletter each month, send it to our clients who are able to rebadge it and send it out to their clients and follow up individual articles. We view that newsletter has been a marketing tool for ESS BIZTOOLS subscribers. So it's your marketing tool if you subscribe. But from your client's point of view, it's an education tool. It's giving them information about a whole range of business matters. Debtors management. Debtors is an enormous issue in Australia. We got the dubious title of having the longest debtors days outstanding in the world. So we have a package which will help. Survival in difficult times, which is our theme for next week's discussion, has got 38 questionnaires on all aspects of a business to get some feedback from your client. And then it is linked to a series of articles that gives you some explanations, some assistance in overcoming problems that may have been identified in those questionnaires. And then we have what we call industry-specific advisory, whereby we're looking at tradie charge-out rates calculators and professional services firms charge-out rate calculators, and a retail pricing calculator, which looks at the variable stock mix and the various markups that apply to those various components of stock. Can we recover enough to pay the wages, the overhead costs, and earn a targeted profit? We also have the debtor systems manual, so you can prepare a customized debtor systems manual from our template on a debtor system. And we have 4 leadership papers and modules that you can utilize to, first of all, develop your own team, but ultimately start offering some leadership training material to your clients if you wish. But we're now going to come back to the one that I skipped then, and that is the client mentoring and coaching. So I click on there, and this gives you an opportunity to see how this system works in actual operations. So we're going to the client mentoring. So we're going to download that content. And what we're going to start with is purchasing or commencing a business. But in this series, there are other matters covered in basically the same way as I'm going to show you in purchasing or commencing a business, with some variations, of course, for the change in subject heading. Introductory management, experience management, dealing with banks, business planning, corporate governance, use of and preparation of periodic financial accounts, networks, exporting, marketing, family businesses, and getting investment ready. A fair range of subjects that you can communicate with your clients. Now, what you would be sending to your clients is the one that fits the client's category. And this would be to people who you think you can grow into a A-grade client. Someone who will be prepared to pay you reasonable fees over and above the cost of a tax return and an annual set of accounts. That extra service. And that might be $5,000 to $10,000 for a client. One of our subscribers has over 100 tradie clients, and he's put into practice a system whereby he uses our tradie charge out calculator, which I referred to there, which we produced a webinar on that a few weeks ago. If you want that, it is on our website. You can download it and have a look at it. With his 100 clients, he does their charge out rate calculations, which have got some assumed figures for productivity, work hours, the markups being made on external purchases for the benefit of clients, and a few other things. Obviously, the overhead expenses. We're trying to earn a targeted profit. And then he said to them, we need to prepare a set of financial accounts each month so we can monitor what's going on. And part of that's going to be, we'll monitor the productivity figures that have been achieved, the markups on external purchases that are actually being achieved. I've had clients tell me they're going to mark up things by 40%, everything they buy on behalf of a client, 40% markup. And you get to the end of the year and you find that the actual markup figure was only 10%, because there's all sorts of reasons and excuses as to why it wasn't done. That's all right. But I think management needs to be conscious that it's not achieving that, because you've highlighted it to them in the key performance indicator report, so that you can then fine-tune the markups or fine-tune the charge out rates, and then have a meeting with a client, a business review meeting each month. And from that particular firm added around $5,000 per client. 100 clients, $5,000 extra, that's $500,000. That's not a bad start from utilizing the ESS BIZTOOls tradie charge out rate calculator, is it? And taking it forward. So let's go to purchasing or commencing a business. And we have that on the screen now, so that you've got the details of, in fact, 6 series. And we're not going to go through the 6 series, but you'll get an idea of how it works. So that this is the material that's going to be sent to your clients, that you will send to your clients. So if we go into the first one, we'll click on checklist, structures, and tax issues. We now have a list of them on the screen. There's a fair bit of information, but what we're trying to do is to start a more detailed conversation with a client, to be really able to talk to them about their their structures. So you're giving them some material on a sole trader, partnership, discretionary trust, unit trust, and companies. So they can think about and see the benefits of the various components. We've got a paper on small business overview. How does small business operate? I think one of the big problems small businesses have got is that they've never factored in who is going to be their accountant, with accountant offering real accounting advice, financial advice, key performance indicator advice. That's the key, I think, to make this whole process work. Pitfalls in starting a business. And then we might look at the research and development incentive, and that's really there for someone that's undertaking research. You could talk to them about that, and tax planning in the purchase of a business. We'll go back to the beginning because I want to show you the letter or email that we're suggesting you're going to send to your client. You should now be able to see the purchasing or commencing a business, Series 1, checklist structures and tax issues. You can edit this email if you wish, or this letter, but it's explaining to your client why you're sending them this. So there's a summary there of what's included. So you could send that to your client, and they're going to, so they're forewarned that they're receiving this other material. Now, in some cases, you may decide to send this out in a few more installments than what we've got there. We're saying 6. You might look at the size of this material here and break it down a bit more. That's your call. You know your clients, so that they can get a better appreciation of what's happening. And then we've got the survey form. Now, the survey form you would badge before you send it. On every form we produce, at the top of the page, we have a double line, and that space above there is for our subscriber. You can badge that with your name, contact details, and any other information. And then the questionnaire is there to get answers from your clients. What do they like? Was it helpful or least helpful? When you're a subscriber, if you get people clicking 4 or 5, we want to know about it. Thanks. Please send us details, because that must mean that there's something wrong in our material, or we haven't explained it clear enough, and we will edit it to make it clearer to clients. To give you an idea of what's involved in some of these other forms, we'll go to pitfalls in starting a business. And there's the paper. Again, it's one of these items where you would badge above the double lines, and it's a short paper, but it's basically, hopefully, giving your client some idea of what's going to happen in business. I think we need to face the problems about business failure. So we've got items there. And then we got successful businesses based on, we got some ideas there. And this is all there to help you have your conversation with your client about the extra services that you can provide, real accounting services. Not just the preparation of a tax return. The tax return doesn't help your client survive in business. The preparation of an annual set of accounts doesn't help your client. It's too late if something's gone wrong. In most cases, they will have been trading for somewhere around 15 to 18 or 19 months when those accounts are prepared. It's too late to go back and rectify. I think we need to get clients in the understanding that a proper accounting service is built around helping them set their pricing, their charge out rates at the very beginning, understanding clearly their overhead expenses and factoring them in, putting in a realistic estimate of what the accountancy fees are going to end up. I get horrified when I see people come to see me and they've got $2,500 or $3,000 in a budget that an accountant's prepared for them, and it's called accountancy fees. I say it's going to cost you a lot more than that if you really want real accounting services. I think we need to be confident enough to say to clients, our fee will be $15,000 and this is what we're going to do for you. Promote it, sell it confidently to your clients. I do a lot of work in consulting area, and in consulting you have to prepare a summary of what your services are going to be. You have to prepare a proposal. You won't get a job. Then you have to give a quotation, and you have to be prepared to put your case. A business plan might be worth, I finished one 2 or 3 weeks ago, $26,000. I've now given that client a proposal to give ongoing mentoring advice, and the proposal's about $27,000. But we've summarized exactly what we're going to do. We've set out a program. This is what we will do with their leadership team. They're going through a succession strategy with key people in their organization, and there's a fair bit of work. So you have to be able to summarize it. And I'm not suggesting you do that for a startup company, but don't sell yourself short is really my plea to the accountants working in this space. I think we have a responsibility to lay it out the way it is and say to the client, that is the sort of services you should be getting. They will help you survive in business, and this is what it's going to cost. And this is how we will bill you for that service. But really emphasize what your value add contribution is to your client. And these types of articles, I really believe, and I know from my experience in having supplied this sort of material to hundreds of accounting firms around Australia, is that it does resonate with the clients. So you can give them an example. This is what we'll charge you for the annual accounts and tax return, but this is what it's going to cost to go to these new stages. These stages which will help you survive in business and add value. Okay, so there's various components there. Hopefully that will set you up for being able to communicate with this new business owner or someone that's starting a new business. In many cases, they will be a new client for your business. I hope that helps you. I now want to introduce you to Amanda Gascoigne. Amanda's sat through a presentation like this that we did for our current subscribers last week, and she's made some comments. We separately recorded them, and our consultant who looks after all of our videos has done some fine tuning and put Amanda's presentation together because she couldn't join us today. She does send her apologies. Amanda is a very capable accounting industry consultant. She prefers dealing with solo and small accounting firms. Many of you may have come across her because she does make presentations on behalf of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. And she's looking to assist accountants who want a better practice and a better life. So I'm going to click on now and
thanks, Peter. So I'm just celebrating 22 years in business this year. I've been
Very good.
self-employed for 22 years, and I've worked with in my own practice. I had my own practice for 18 years, so worked with predominantly small to medium-sized businesses for 18 years on my own in my own practice, and then prior to that in a large and then a mid-tier firm. So one of the things that, I absolutely loved being in practice, but one of the things that I found as I was going to different conferences and seminars was actually talking to so many practice owners that were actually struggling, or, they'd started to lose a bit of their passion for what they're doing. It wasn't as good as what they thought it was going to be, struggling with, with clients, all of the deadlines, with, even making the money that they thought they were going to be. So I had always wanted to do coaching, and I did start that. I started coaching business within the practice, in a sense, but more not, I really wanted to sort of do something outside of accounting. So I always had a thought that I would actually sell my practice when my children finished school. They're now 20 and 21. And that time came a little bit earlier when I was actually approached to sell my practice, because again, someone heard how profitable my practice, knew how successful and how I was actually able to have a life and my practice as well, because I was out doing lots of stuff with my children on weekends and into Sydney where they were at school. So a few opportunities arose, and then I sold my practice to my youngest brother. So that was a really nice segue to doing more of this coaching. But what I found when I was coaching, also just some small businesses, not necessarily the accounting practices at that stage, was they wanted me to also be their accountant, because they said, well, I've learnt more from you in that period of time than I have with my accountant that I've been with for 10 years. That's the thing. I also do that when I go around to different seminars. So I thought, well, how about I do my coaching with, accountants and just solely focus on accounting practices. And, to be honest, when I started it, it was actually quite difficult trying to just, it is, I guess, a niche market. But I was really passionate about doing that and just transferring a lot of the knowledge that I actually acquired over the years and developed over the years. So now my whole role is actually working with small and solo accounting practices, teaching them the things that I did in my practice, helping with them with anything from a practice management point of view. Because the other thing that I've learned is that a lot of practice owners, they're great at the technical side. They are great at relationship building and maintaining that. But where they've come from before, their previous employers held their cards very close to their chest when it came to practice management. So what metrics we have to look at? What are the other things that we need to do? Because, those things just miraculously used to happen. The marketing, the debtors, the mail, the lodgement deadlines, those things just come hard and fast. And, we're trying to actually juggle all of that in addition to having a really nice life. So my message that I actually talk to accountants about is I want practice owners to have a better practice and a better life. And I want them to have those two things concurrently, because I don't believe that, to be successful, you don't want to be successful in one area of your life and then really struggling in another. So it's got to be that balance, and there's got to be some trade-offs. So I guess the way that I work with accountants these days, I have clients that I work with one-on-one, and they're all over Australia, and I do have a New Zealand client as well, so all over Australia. But I also, that's my high level coaching, but I also do a lot of courses. So recently I did a tax planning course, which was really well received. Different courses I bring out just during the years, as needed. I have a 5 weeks to a balanced firm course, and I have a 5 weeks to a it's called it revise your practice model and pricing model, I guess, but they're getting morphed into one, and they'll be released shortly as a one course, so just a one signature course. I also do a lot of advocacy work in the accounting industry, so work closely with chartered accountants on their public practice advisory committee, and also that's a 3-year appointment, and also being a mentor to them. So I sort of do a little bit of, it's a really nice balance, because I practice what I preach as well. So it's not just all about making the money. It's actually about being really enthusiastic about what you're doing and loving everything that you're doing, you know, loving the clients that you work with. And I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges I see with practice owners is, you know, how do they get that balance? How do they get their practice model to be something that they're really proud of and really uniquely theirs? Because we're getting sold all of this marketing things. We have to have this, we have to have that. And what other people actually deem to be a successful practice. And we're looking at that and looking all those answers. But sometimes, well, I believe that every practice is unique and it's up to us how we want to run our practices. And that's what I basically help people really get clear on what the practice owners' goals and visions are. And, you know, I have a lot of people that are working, you know, huge hours, and they just don't want to be doing that. That's not what they signed up for. Some might just want to work 4 days a week. Some may want to be able to be there when they're, you know, take the kids to school and be there before their kids go to bed. Like, it's as simple as that in a lot of instances. So I really am passionate. You know, any of my marketing, you'll see I don't talk about the money side of things of practice. And I think the people that I want to help are the people that are probably underselling themselves a little bit, or maybe a lot, but really about, you know, if we have all those other things that are very critical, you know, having the right clients, offering the right mix of services, which, you know, you and I are both advocates of having that lovely mix of compliance and advisory, utilizing the technology, you know, utilizing networks and resources, you know, such as you don't have to do it alone. When we've got all of those things in unison and working together and totally aligned with what we want from our practice in our lives, the money and all the other things come. Right. So that's a byproduct of doing all the things right and that are aligned with what you want. So that's pretty much how I work. So I also have, so if anyone would like to have a little bit, learn a bit more about myself and about my practice journey and what I do now, I have a website, amandagascoigne.com, and also thebalancedfirm.com, which that's where all my resources and courses, etc., are housed. I have a fabulous Facebook community called The Balanced Firm. So everything that I do is all around balance, you know, and really being totally, and balance means something different to everyone as well. You know, some people do only want to work that 3 and 4 days a week. Some people don't want to work, you know, after hours. Some people want to take a month or two off. Some people want to go and travel and to be able to work remotely. Like, no matter what people want, we can make that work. One of the things that I did in practice was pretty much work through like terms. So I would always have school holidays off. And when I talk to my clients about that, they think that's an amazing, you know, idea to do that. But I just found it, it gave me a little bit of a breather. It gave me, you know, obviously when you're running a practice, you're not home, you know, you can't often be home right on 5 o'clock. There's things that happen. Maybe we do have to work on weekends sometimes. And, you know, maybe we have to just, you know, pick up some slack at certain times of the year and certain deadlines. But by doing that and having that, you know, that school term, it meant that we could have those sprints and then have that little bit of a break, and we then could be more present with our kids and with our partners. And you know, that's where we've gone into practice, so we don't just get those 4 weeks holidays, you know. But when I talk to people and I sit down and do their capacity budgets, I say, you know, how many hours a week do you work, how many weeks a year? And it's like 50, 60 hours a week. And then it's like 52 weeks a year. We don't even get holidays.
Okay.
You know, we've got to try to get back to really what motivates us for leaving quite well-paid jobs, I might say. Most of us have left really well-paid jobs thinking we can actually make more and have more flexibility on our own. So pretty much that's what I do. And every client that I work with is different, and all the coaching and is all different. So everyone gets what they need at the particular time, but they get the added bonus of having someone who's been there.
Yes, and that word balance comes back into play, doesn't it? All the time. So that was
Absolutely.
a very interesting overview. Thanks, Amanda. Is there anything relating to purchasing or commencing a business then that you would want to add to what our material today is looked at? And it's basically,
Yeah.
here's a series of articles and forms that you can send a client, but it's not. I thought to myself then, this probably all sounds a little bit cold to someone. Obviously, accountants got to bring their own personality into all this.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
accountant's communicating with the client. You know,
Yeah.
this is just not going to turn up out of the blue to the prospect or the client. They talk to you. You need to be enthusiastic. This is a value add they're getting. They've already been with the accountant for half an hour or an hour, or perhaps even longer, and it's that I hope this is what we're talking about today is the icing on the cake to really convince them they've made the right decision to be going to you as the accountant, because you can do these things for them.
Yeah.
What would you think
And
on that?
oh, definitely. And I think, any of the materials that, as in the packages, I really would like you all to think about, what are some of the things, how could I actually put my own flavor on these? So, there's some incredible, I use a program called Canva, CANVA.com. And that's when I do all of my, my lovely handbooks, and, you can do letters, you can do flyers, all my tax planning was on that. Now, it's as simple as actually, creating a bit of a template of what you like with all your brand colors, with all your logos, and actually putting that information in something like that as a document. And one of the things that I just saw, Peter, when you showed one of this table of contents, was the bookkeeping. And I thought, even though that bookkeeping is under there, under buying or setting up a business, anyone could pull that piece about bookkeeping, and you could nearly make that into like a little PDF document that you could have for anyone, even if it's a new client that's coming to you as a new client, just to give them a little bit of a refresher. You might want to put some tips in there and particular things, how you want things done from a bookkeeping perspective. So I think all of this, it can be, across the whole gambit of what you're doing in your practice. This stuff actually is, so helpful. I remember in my I do a tax time bundle for tax time, and in there I include a logbook. Now, a logbook, it's, costs you, wouldn't even be $1 to print it. But I did that. I had it all branded up with my logo at the front and my contact details, and just a standard little, what you've got to do, and making sure they've got everything for the logbook. The amount of people that came into me outside of tax time and said, "Hey, Amanda, could I have another one of your logbooks, please?" But they could go to Woolies or the stationer to get something for a few dollars, but they felt that mine was special. It looked nicer than the ones that you get from the, and they would give that. "Do you mind if I give that to my son? He's just starting a business, or he's going to TAFE." Absolutely, not. Yes.
Great marketing.
Take two. Like, this sort of stuff that again, it comes naturally. You think, well, they can get bookkeeping advice from the ATO, but they're not doing that. So if we can actually put our flavor on it, give it to them, and they see value in it, it just makes things so much easier. It just really, it's really, really, it's a great marketing thing, and it's a great thing to really keep those clients, that longevity of client relationships.
And it's the trusted advisor concept in play, isn't it? It's acting it out. It's like playing golf or football or whatever. You're on the field, you've got to perform, and it's showing the client or the prospect that you will go that extra little bit of distance to give them information.
It's caring, and it's, and I think, I often think a lot of accountants and advisors think, well, everyone's so different. Like, how can I use a standard document? And how many people are doing things from scratch each time? Now, of course, we're going to change it to the particular client situation, but there's a lot of element is very, very generic. So let's just get that in there. Tailor that, any of the resources that Peter has, pull out what you need, tailor it with, a few little things to make it more you. And then once the opportunity arises for sitting in front of a particular client, that you might need to go and do some industry specific, maybe some KPIs, or maybe something that's industry specific to really elevate how you're going to be looking in that potential client's eyes or current client. That's all you've got to do, just to really personalize it. And I think I had a lot of standard stuff, Peter, and I think being in a small practice as well, you need to do things as efficiently as possible. So reinventing the wheel is not going to get you home early at night and making more money. or making what you think. So we have to be as efficient as possible by utilizing resources such as yours that are there, and we just do the tweaks. And we shouldn't also undervalue that, because even though we've got that, everyone's paying for their subscription, but then if that only takes you an hour to actually do those tweaks, maybe it's not an hour worth of your time. What would it take you to actually create this document from scratch? You know, thinking about what it is. So if you are using some of these resources and, you know, putting, you know, something else into it, like, can you charge for this? And think about, you know, how long has it taken you, and then getting some standard fees, because we don't want you to be paying a subscription, doing things a lot quicker and more efficiently, and then letting the client be the benefactor of what you're doing. And I see that, and I actually think that's a big thing that's happened with automation from a software perspective. We're doing things quicker, but we're still paying the subscription. But when looking at our hourly rate, which hasn't changed or hasn't changed significantly more, we're actually realizing we've got to work so many hours to get the same amount of money.
Okay, so that's the summary of the discussion that I had with Amanda as we went through and looked at various aspects of the product contained within the material for purchasing or commencing a business. So that's it for today, really. We have upcoming webinars that are being presented in our program, and you can find these on the ESS BIZTOOLS website. And the upcoming webinars on Monday, the 2nd of August, we have, geez, it's August, pretty soon, isn't it? Next week. On Monday, the 2nd of August, we have predictive accounting. This is a joint venture between ESS BIZTOOLS and Paul Barnaby from Beyond Accounting Technologies and Plan Guru, who are producing their software packages for budgets, cash flow forecasts, and projected balance sheets now in 52 countries around the world. So we've got that on Monday the 2nd. On Tuesday the 3rd, we're looking at survival in difficult times. I mentioned that a little bit earlier, I think. That's an interesting product that's included within our starter package. And on the 12th of August, we're looking at the SME debtor systems manual. You know, debtors are an enormous problem in Australia. We've got the dubious title of having the longest debtors days outstanding in the world. I'm not happy about that. I think as accountants, we need to do more to help our clients. We have a series of specials on at present, and these are our special discount, and it's all 50% on the starter package. You can subscribe to that package for 12 months for an upfront payment of $999. If you are a larger firm or you've got more experience in offering business advisory services, then the gold package is for you. It includes everything that we produce. And our special discount at present is $3,250, including GST, for 12 months. So you can access that. You could subscribe to the Chief Financial Officer services if you like, 50% discount, $1,375 for 12 months. And we have an innovation package, which is looking at research and development, the accelerating commercialization grant, and the special company status that the government has created called Early Stage Innovation Company. And that's a package of services, and your subscription for that is $2,500. But if you want everything, you can subscribe to the gold package, and it's special price is $3,250. But if you're a small practitioner or haven't got into business advisory services at this stage, our recommendation, based on my experience of supplying these products over the last 20 years to hundreds of accounting firms, is you start with the starter package. We've prepared this for you. I gave you an overview of that a little while ago when we went through with it. And you can subscribe to that for $999. Now, these specials are applying under the 6th of August. So please go to our website, www.essbiztools.com.au, to subscribe. So thank you very much for being with us today. If you have any questions, and no one sent me through any questions, I hope that means that we answered all your questions. If you have any questions in particular today about the purchasing or commencing a business, how we go about the client mentoring coaching approach, please send me an email. If you've got any questions you would like to ask Amanda on what she had to say and the services that she provides very well to small and solo accountants, please also send me the email and I will send it on to Amanda and she will get back to you. And if you require any other information, obviously contact me. On predictive accounting, please send the email to me. Paul Barnaby will then follow you up and have a discussion with you about the 3-in-1 budgets, cash flow forecasts, and predicted balance sheets. So thank you for being with us. I look forward to hearing from you. Stay safe, especially if you're in the areas around Australia that are in lockdown at present. This is very serious and we all need to do what we have to do. I got my second jab yesterday, so I hope everyone is going to go down that path and get their 2 jabs so that we can beat this virus and help our business community and our accounting firms, bookkeeping firms, and business advisory firms with all of your clients get back to full productivity without these continual interruptions from outbreaks of the virus. Stay safe. Have a good day. Thank you for being with us. Goodbye.